You have been told your entire life what happens when you die. The light appears, warm, radiant, everything you ever wanted, everyone you ever lost, your mother, your child, the version of yourself that never carried the weight you have been carrying. The light calls to you like a home you forgot you had. Every religion prepared you for it. Every near-death account described it. Every instinct in your body screams that it is real. What if that is exactly the problem? What if the most comforting image in the history of human existence was not placed in your consciousness by love, but by the system that needs you to walk into it, not into God, into a trap so sophisticated it feels indistinguishable from grace? The Gnostics knew. They documented it in texts so dangerous that the early church did not simply reject them, it burned them. It hunted the people who carried them. It erased their names from history with the kind of methodical precision you only deploy against something that is genuinely threatening to the architecture you are trying to protect. And in those texts, the ones that survived the burning, there is a number that changes everything. 1 in 10,000. Not 1 in 100, not 1 in 1,000. 1 in 10,000 souls has ever navigated the threshold of death and not walked straight back into the harvest. Sit with that. Let it land. Because if that number is even approximately accurate, and the Gnostic record, the near-death research, and the reincarnation documentation all suggest it is, then almost every soul you have ever loved, every wise teacher you have ever followed, every chosen one who ever got close to the truth has been reset, returned, stripped of everything they remembered and placed back in the cycle, wearing a new face and a new name and no memory of what they knew before. This video is for the 1 in 10,000. Not because you are guaranteed to be that one, because the only way to have any chance of being that one is to understand precisely what the 9,999 do wrong at the threshold, and what the trap looks like, and why it is so effective, and why the light, the beautiful, warm, radiant, welcoming light, is the last thing the 9,999 ever see before the reset begins. Here is what the 9,999 experience. The body stops. The physical sensation of weight and pain and the grinding effort of being alive in material form. It dissolves. And in its place, something opens. Not darkness, not nothing. Light. A quality of light that has no analog in material world experience. Warmer than sunlight. More welcoming than any human presence. A light that seems to know you. That seems to have been waiting specifically for you. And from the light, voices, people, beings, the ones who loved you, the ones you lost, your grandmother finally free of pain, your childhood dog, the friend who went too early. They are there. They are reaching for you. They are telling you that everything is all right, that you are home, that the long and difficult and exhausting experience of being alive in the material world is over. Every cell in your being wants to walk toward it, and you do. Because how could you not? Because everything you were taught since before you could speak told you that this is the destination, that this is what all the suffering was for, that the light is God and God is love, and love is where you are going. The Apocryphon of John calls it something different. It calls it the net, not metaphorically, technically. A frequency architecture designed to capture the divine spark, the pneuma, before it has a chance to remember what it actually is and where it actually came from. The beings in the light are not who they appear to be. The warmth is not grace. The recognition you feel is not God knowing you. It is the system recognizing what you are carrying and positioning itself to take it. Here is the mechanism. The soul that has just left the body is in its most vulnerable state. Every layer of ego construction, the identity, the personality, the social self, the defenses, all of it was part of the physical form. Without the body, those layers dissolve. What remains is the raw pneuma, the divine spark, undefended, radiant, carrying the accumulated frequency of everything it learned and experienced in its last incarnation. And it is precisely in this state, undefended, radiant, carrying everything, that the trap activates. The light is not a destination. It is a processing system. The warmth that feels like love is the frequency calibration of the harvest apparatus, recognizing the energetic signature of what you carry. The beings who appear as your loved ones are constructs, frequency projections designed by the Archon system to produce the emotional state that makes the soul most compliant. The grief of reunion, the relief of recognition, the desperate longing to be held by something that feels safe after the terror and confusion of death. You are not walking toward God. You are walking toward the reset. And the reason almost no one stops is the same reason a fish does not notice the water. The trap was built before you were born. It was installed in the deepest layer of your consciousness by the same system that sends you back. The belief that the light is safe is not something you chose. It is something that was placed in you, specifically, deliberately, by a system that has been running this operation for longer than recorded human history and has had time to optimize every detail of the mechanism. The Gnostics were not speculating. They were describing something they had seen from the inside. In 1982, a man named Robert Monroe published a finding that disturbed him deeply. Monroe was not a mystic. He was not a religious seeker. He was a businessman and a consciousness researcher who had spent decades studying out-of-body states in a laboratory with the methodical precision of a scientist. He had no spiritual agenda. He was not looking for God. He was trying to understand what happens to human consciousness when it separates from the body. What he found was something he called loosh, an energetic byproduct, a frequency generated by intense human emotional experience, grief, fear, longing, the specific quality of pain that comes from loving something in a world where nothing lasts. Monroe documented that this frequency, this loosh, appeared to be a resource, something that was being collected. He described encountering, during out-of-body states, what he called the collectors, beings whose relationship to loosh was the relationship of a farmer to a crop. Monroe had never read the Apocryphon of John. He had never encountered the Pistis Sophia. He had no knowledge of the Nag Hammadi texts or the Gnostic tradition that the Church had spent centuries trying to erase. And yet, what he described, independently, empirically, from direct experience, was identical to what those texts had documented 16 centuries before him. A system, a harvest, beings who cannot manufacture their own frequency, but can collect the frequency generated by human emotional experience. A material world structured not as a home for the soul, but as a farm for the soul's energetic output. Think about that in terms of your own life, not in terms of death, right now, today. Every time you spiral at 2 a.m. into anxiety about something you cannot change, that is loosh being generated. Every time a news cycle pulls you into 3 hours of outrage and helplessness about events that are entirely outside your control, that is loosh being generated. Every time you stay in a relationship that slowly hollows you out because the fear of being alone feels worse than the pain of staying, that is loosh being generated. The system does not only run at death, it runs continuously. The material world is not structured to produce your flourishing. It is structured to produce your harvest. The algorithm is not broken. The algorithm is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The social platforms that leave you feeling worse every time you use them are not failures of engineering. They are successes of a different kind of engineering, the same kind. Keep the emotional body activated. Keep the fear and desire cycling. Keep the harvest running, and when the body finally stops, when the heart flatlines and the machines go quiet and the soul lifts free of the weight of the physical form, the harvest does not pause. It redirects. The light appears. The warmth arrives. The beloved dead reach their arms toward the newly disembodied soul. And the soul, depleted, disoriented, still vibrating with the emotional residue of its last incarnation, trained since before it could form language to believe that the light is safety, walks toward it. The 9,999 always walk toward it, because they do not know what it is, because no one was allowed to tell them. Before the reset begins, there is a review,